Hi everyone, Bill Duvendack here with a monthly astrological preview video for April 2023. There's a lot going on. This time of change continues, and with April, we find the end of the beginning. In April, Mercury retrogrades, and that will be the first significant retrograde of the calendar year 2023 and the new astrological year that started with the equinox in March for those of you that are in the Northern Hemisphere. So what we see here is we see a slow transition of going from the energy of new beginnings and being proactive to possibly reviewing what we've already started. So let's dive in. The first thing to note is on April 1st, we have the sun in Aries trine the moon in Leo. So it's a good time to get out and get things done. There's probably more energy in the air for you to use. Also on that day, we have Mars in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces, and this will last until the 6th. So you've got the first several days in April to listen to your intuition. If you do spiritual initiations, this is a good time to do it. And this whole interplay, because of the nature of the planets being masculine, is a good time for emotional connection as well. Also on the 1st, we've got the moon in Leo square Venus in Taurus. So you might find that your emotions conflict with your relationships with your loved ones. You might find that your creativity is ready to go with that moon in Leo, but that it's not practical. So bringing your ideas down to physical results would be good to do. On the 2nd, we've got the moon in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces. And this is a really tricky one because it's saying that you might be taking an analytical look at your emotions, when in reality, you should probably be looking at what the world says around you. Now, this is something that I've talked about a lot, which is that if you look around with what you're doing and you're hitting roadblocks, then the message is either A, go around the roadblocks, or B, change what you're doing. I see a lot of people that are stubborn through the years and they refuse to read the messages that the universe sends them because it conflicts with their toxic ego. So this is a time when situations may be brought to your attention, and these situations are ones that you have to adapt to, putting your emotions in check. Also on the 2nd, we've got the sun conjunct Chiron in Aries. So watch out for wounds that have to do with your sense of self, your sense of well-being. Watch out for wounds that have to do with self-esteem, self-confidence, self-value, self-worth. And this conjunction is going to be lasting until the 8th. So the first week of April is all about seeing your limits and choosing to work within them. Now, when I was younger, I didn't buy that. But as I've gotten older, no, it makes sense. It's a Saturnian lesson. The 3rd is nice and quiet, so nothing to report. But on the 4th, we've got the moon in Virgo opposing Neptune in Pisces. So you may find that it's difficult to get to work because you want to daydream. We've also got Mercury moving into Taurus on that day. So you might find the afternoon of that day is very much like a mini Mercury retrograde, but it won't last that long. And the attention will shift from that of Mercury in Aries, which is very fiery and proactive, to that of Taurus, which is traditional, steady state, and consistent. On the 5th, the moon in Libra squares Mars in Cancer, so you may find issues and growth opportunities with regards to your immediate family, your loved ones, and your home life. Now, also on that day, though, the moon is trining Pluto in Aquarius. And what this tells us is that it's a good time for innovative solutions. It's a good time to take new approaches to things that are not working. And when we connect the dots, we see these things that are not working are the immediate family and the home life. On the 6th, that same moon in Libra opposes the sun in Aries, which means it's a full moon, depending on where you are in the world. And the moon in Libra opposes Jupiter in Aries. And we have Venus in Taurus sextiling Saturn in Pisces. So you can see that this full moon is going to be very active. The moon in Libra opposing Jupiter in Aries tells us that when making decisions that have to do with getting along with others, you may find it wise to play things conservative. Ambivalence is not your friend. And with the Venus in Taurus sextiling Saturn in Pisces, it tells us it's a good day to put forth some sort of discipline or routine for your spiritual growth. So in other words, it's a good day to stop sitting around and thinking you're a badass and actually go out and show that you're as good as your delusions say. On the 7th, we got the moon in Scorpio opposing Mercury in Taurus, so you might find that you're at a loss for words communicating what you feel. We also have a water grand trine between Mars and Cancer, the moon in Scorpio, Saturn in Pisces, so it's a perfect day for spiritual initiation. It's a perfect day to address emotionally charged situations that need review. And on that day, we have the moon squaring Pluto. So you may find that your temper is shorter or that you are more easily triggered. However, the trade-off is when you spot your triggers, you're in more control over them. On the 8th, we've got the moon in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus. So you may find that it's a good day to reevaluate the wounds that you still have. The moon in Scorpio is a very intense placement, but it also has to do with not letting go of things in the past. And the Uranus in Taurus tells us that the unexpected is going to come up in the daily life. And when it does, it may cause you to rethink why you're holding on to those wounds. And yes, you heard me correctly. I know a lot of people whose identity is intrinsically tied to their wounds, so if they heal the wounds, they feel like they have no identity. Talk about pathetic. I mean, we've all been there, at least subconsciously to a certain degree, but at what point do you step back and say, I'm not these things that happened to me. I'm the victor, not the victim. And for those of you that need inspiration along those lines, I encourage you to read the poem Invictus. On the 9th, we have the moon in Sagittarius sextiling Pluto in Aquarius. So you may find it's a good time to not only make new paths and make progress in new ways, but it is also a good time to speak your truth. And these new techniques should be rooted in knowledge and spirituality rather than truth speaking. Also on that day, we've got the moon opposing Venus, so I would encourage you to watch your impulse buying and your retail therapy, as it were. On the 10th, we've got Venus in Taurus at the last degree, and for those of you that have been watching these a while, you know that means that situations having to do with Venus may have problems. So in this case, it's saying watch for the unexpected expense. It would also be wise to tread lightly with your loved ones and watch the food that you eat. A lot of people forget that Taurus and Cancer correspond to food. So whenever there's squares or oppositions there, especially the fast-moving planets, it could mean health challenges. Also on that day, we've got the moon in Sagittarius training Chiron in Aries, so it's a good time to do the healing. You notice how when the moon was in Scorpio, it was all about identifying the healing and deciding how you want to proceed because your identity is not your wounds. And then on the 10th, just a couple days later, it's a good time to actually put those changes in place. So you got a couple days to play it out. On the 11th, we've got Venus entering into Gemini. So it's a good time to spend time with friends. It's good to go out, chit chat, and have all the mindless fun of small conversations and things like that. But also on that day, we've got the moon in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. And what this tells us is that you might feel spiritually or emotionally conflicted about things. You may also find if you're not paying attention to things that it interrupts your daily life. Also on the 11th, we've got that same Venus in Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius. So it's a good time to socialize, it's a good time to network, and it's a good time to look for new solutions. On the 12th, we've got the moon in Capricorn, trining Mercury in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus. So this is a good time to get to work. And I mean work, your occupation, your career. This is also a good time for manifestation. On the 13th, we've got the moon in Capricorn, conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. Yes, you heard that right. We've got an Alice sign conjunction. So you might find your passions are stronger than normal. You might also discover that this is a good time for intensity. It's a good time for personal transformation, but it also means watch out for accidents. Also on that day, we've got Venus in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces. So here again, attention is drawn back to treading lightly with your loved ones and making sure when it comes to spirituality, you've got a clear focus and you don't get distracted by bright, shiny, passing spiritual fads, the kind that we see on the internet and social media. This particular aspect is going to last until the 19th, so it's going to be around for about a week. So watch out for distractions. On the 14th, we've got the moon in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. So you might find that you're stuck on how to proceed with things. Both are fixed sides, so both prefer their routines. However, on this day, watch out for emotional satisfaction and gratification causing unexpected problems in your daily life. On the 15th, we've got the moon conjunct Saturn. This is another out of the sign conjunction. And when the moon is conjunct Saturn, it's kind of like the moon in Scorpio. You may find that you feel emotionally restricted. You may find that it's hard to let go of the past, but that is exactly what is called for. And this energy of the moon conjunct Saturn is going to also last the 16th. So we'll move ahead to the 17th, where we have the moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces, which makes it a great day for studying metaphysics, your spiritual development, meditation, mysticism. It's also a good day to indulge in very loving activities with your significant other or others. On the 18th, we have the moon in Aries squaring Mars in Cancer. So the attention comes back to the home and the immediate family. So you may find there are challenges there, and a lot of those are going to have to do with stubbornness. So the question is, are you the one being stubborn, or are they, or both? Because whatever the answer is, that's also the problem. On the 19th, we've got Mars in Cancer squaring Chiron in Aries, and this is going to last until the 25th, so it's going to hang around for about a week. When this aspect is present, it tells us that even though you may want to nest and spend a lot of time at home, if you do, it irritates old wounds. This also tells us that if you're trying to push ahead with projects that are very Aries related, that it might take you out of your comfort zone. And remember, that's the only place growth occurs. On the 20th, the sun moves into Taurus. It's the new moon. And in that new moon is also the north node of the moon. Now, this is a pretty profound day. First of all, you've got the solar ingress into Taurus. So the day might be full of starts and stops and shakes and rattles and rolls. But with the north node here, it says this is the perfect day to figure out how you're going to physically manifest the results of your spiritual growth. So the 20th is quite the day. Now, also on that day, we got the north node in Taurus, which therefore also means the sun and the moon sextiling Saturn in Pisces. So when you figure out how to make those physical plane changes, it's going to flow easily, and it's actually the next step in your spiritual maturation process. On the 21st, we've got the moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So watch for the unexpected. Like I mentioned earlier, this could pertain to food or your daily work routine. And on the 21st, Mercury stations retrograde in Taurus. The first Mercury retrograde of the year. It's going to be around until May 16th. This also means that the Mercury retrograde cycles this year are in Earth sides, which is not so good for Earth signs, at least Tauruses. But it's going to be challenging as well to fixed signs, so Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. On the 22nd, we've got the moon in Venus squaring Saturn in Pisces. This is similar to what I mentioned earlier about your spiritual path is asking you to mature a particular direction, but you are having problems when it comes to focus and discipline to make it happen. On the 23rd, we've got the moon conjunct Venus in Gemini. So it's a good time to get out, spend time with friends, watch the impulse buying, but still indulge in it. Also on this day, we've got Mars in Cancer squaring Mercury conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So here again, watch out for accidents in the kitchen, watch out for food poisoning. If some family member that you live with has bad habits, this is the day when it might get under your skin. Also on this day, the Sun in Taurus sextiles Saturn in Pisces, which is going to hang around to the 27th, so 3 or 4 days there. And this tells us that this day is a day to make changes. And when these changes are made, you may find you adapt to them easier than you thought. On the 24th, we've got the Sun in Taurus conjunct the North Node in Taurus, so it's a perfect day for spiritual growth, stepping outside of your comfort zone, making things happen. And the moon in Gemini is squaring Neptune in Pisces on that day. So here again, challenges may have to do with being too scattered and not enough focused and disciplined. The 25th brings the moon conjunct Mars in Cancer. So caving it on the couch would be good. Spending a lot of time at home with loved ones doing silly shit would be good. We've also got Venus in Gemini sextiling Chiron in Aries. So the 25th is a good day to reach out to people for help, healing your wounds of self-esteem, self-value, self-worth, self-confidence, self-love, and self-respect. The 26th brings the moon in Cancer, trining the Neptune in Pisces. So here again, like at the beginning of the month, the theme is drawn back to spirituality, spiritual initiations, emotional maturing, and laying a foundation for the future. On the 27th, we've got the Sun in Taurus squaring the moon in Leo. So watch out for your emotions not aligning with whom you are. Also on the 27th, we've got the moon opposing Pluto. So you may find that your temper is shorter, especially on emotionally charged situations. You may also find that while you want everything to be about you, like a true narcissist would, that you find you're a dinosaur because society is evolving. So it's kind of put the emphasis on the collective rather than the individual. On the 28th, we've got the moon in Leo squaring Uranus in Taurus. So that continues the theme of I versus I got to put me aside to get things done on the physical plane. Sometimes we have to make that sacrifice, and it's always worth it. On the 29th, we've got the moon in Leo sextiling Venus in Gemini. So you may find this is a good day to create for all you artistic, creative people out there. This is a great day to maximize. And then on the 30th, we get the moon in Virgo squaring the Sun-Mercury retrograde conjunction in Taurus. So even though it's a Mercury retrograde, on the 30th, it's a good time to say, okay, I see the problems. Now it's time to fix it. Arguably, the next retrograde starts on the 30th. It just depends where you are in the world. And that is Pluto's stationing. Technically, it begins stationing on May 1st, but you might be feeling it on the 30th. Pluto is going to be retrograde for many months, and it's a good time for inner transformation and inner change, preferring new ways because the old ways are outdated. You know, there's that phrase out there, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That doesn't work for society. That works for physical things, but not for people. Just because it's always been done one way does not mean it has to continue to be done that way. Wow, what a month. It's the end of the beginning. So if you have been preparing and moving forward, now is the time that you're going to have to take a step back with the Mercury retrograde, fix problems, reevaluate what you're doing. And after that, though, it's time to get the let out. Some people say you can't make a lot of forward progress with the Mercury retrograde, but as of several years ago, most of the Fortune 500 companies, at least here in the States and probably internationally, open their doors on the Mercury retrograde. So that idea is bullshit. It's all about how you handle it. Yes, I agree you should put the emphasis on revisiting things, but that should not inhibit you from moving forward. You can do a have both. Anyway, thank you to Adam Knox and the Cult of You for getting this out here. Watch for new things that are coming up in the near future. We have been scheming behind the scenes and we've got some new stuff to roll out. Also, remember to check out the new YouTube channel I started with my dear friend, Rich. It is the Halls of Tarot, and it is a daily tarot card draw. So definitely check that out. And while you're there, click like and subscribe, just like to the Cult of You's YouTube channel and my main YouTube channel for Tina Sunbit. Until we all chat again, may we all receive blessings of good health, prosperity, and success as we move forward in the next month of our lives.
I've always felt a little different, a little uneasy between regular folk, a bit of a dreamer, a lost cause, a little non-ordinary, some would say. I think I've always just been this way. My mother said I was special. My father thought I should be feared. But I knew that witchcraft coursed through my veins the first time I tasted the lips of the goddess inside the rain. Yes, I'm a witch, it's true. And sure, we are the ones who believe in the beauty of nature, who believe in the things science, absent of art, cannot explain, who instead of religion would have romance. And sure, you may think we have lost our way, when in the world of predictable things we have such unfamiliar things that we would like to say. But maybe in a world so cold and alone, a little unfamiliar is exactly what is needed to show us the way home.